So welcome everybody to today's edition of the Be Empowered Show. My name is Graham Hopkins, I'm your host. The Be Empowered Show is really a conversation about what it's like to feel empowered, to feel connected to your own truth as opposed to feeling separate from it. Today, our guest is Lynn Scheurell. So welcome to our show, Lynn. It's a pleasure to have you along.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Lynn, I thought I'd start off our conversation with a quote from your website, which is www.mycreativecatalyst.com, and it says, "The greater path is the interior path, because as you are in alignment with who you are and what you came here to do, your external world manifests accordingly." That's probably one of your favorites, is it? Because it really, to me, it sums up a lot of the work you do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, really, anything in life will only manifest to the degree that you're able to allow and receive it. So as you grow, your life grows. And in business, your business can only grow as fast as you do. So that's a big one. That's one of my favorite quotes.
Yeah. My daughter's just done a course, Lynn, where it's called psychosomatic analysis, and what she does actually is she looks at how the body is manifesting itself. And she actually did this with me last time I went to Perth, where I was down to my jocks for an hour and a half, and she looked at all the abnormalities in my body. And the theory behind it is that our energy manifests in physical form. So then she studied that and then massaged me accordingly, and I tell you, it was amazing. So it's the same principle. I think you're talking about the same thing here.
Same thing. Your biography becomes your biology.
Yeah.
You know, energy first, form second. Absolutely. Sounds like an amazing experience. You're lucky.
So tell us a little bit about how you got to all that you've learnt, because I take it you've been in this game for years.
Yeah, I've been doing what I do since 1998. So, and it was, I was about to say it was accidental, but it's really not. All my life, I've always had positions where I was kind of living between the lines and doing the right thing, and if I studied enough and I worked enough and I did this and I did that, well, I wasn't happy. I just wasn't happy. And then I found that I always had side things. I always had businesses on the side, or side ventures, or doing something, or projects, and finally, it was I was working for a .com that became a .bomb, and I was the first person out the door right before Christmas, so on December 15th, and I thought, what am I going to do? And where I was living, I was in Salt Lake City, Utah, which is there's a big focus, which people don't know, but there's a focus on belly dancing and Feng Shui. And I started doing Feng Shui, which is the study of how to harmonize with your environment to optimize your life flow and to manifest what you want. And for me, it was like finding a second skin. It was amazing. And it helped me organize my world and understand how things are put together and develop a new frame of reference. And from there, I started attracting entrepreneurs who wanted to know how I was building my business, and then they would hire me for Feng Shui. And when I would share with them what I learned about who they are through their environment, they were blown away. But then they said, how are you growing your business? And so then I started teaching how I was growing my business, which is what led me into being really an entrepreneurial mentor. So I've been working with entrepreneurs, probably, I'm guessing, maybe 7,000 entrepreneurs at this point over the years. So in a range of businesses, and I've done all the silly stuff, so other people don't have to. I can just share what I've done. So I try to save people time and energy once they actually know what they're going to do. But even then, I work with people who, if they come to me and they say, oh, I want to be in business, but I don't know what, or I want my life to feel more purposeful, I want to follow my path, what is it? I can help them with that. So it's been an exciting journey to be able to share all of my discoveries to support other people in living their best life and uniting life and livelihood.
Just for the audience that doesn't know what Feng Shui is, can you just describe a little bit about how the movement increases your balance and energy?
So Feng Shui started in ancient China about 6,000 years ago, and it was originally to help people. They cited their ancestors' burial plots according to landform and geography and climate and wind flow, and because as you honor your ancestors, your life is honored. And for me, I came into it about 17 years ago. Grandmaster Lynn, who was a leader in China, brought Feng Shui to the Western world about 30 years ago. And he practiced, there's different types of Feng Shui. And so he practices what's called black sect, the black sect of Tantric Buddhism, or black hat Feng Shui, which essentially orients around the individual in their immediate environment and looks at what's relevant and helpful and aesthetically pleasing. So a lot of the traditional schools will use different adjustment items, hang a flute, or, and it just doesn't make sense here in the Western world. So everything orients to the front door. So the ancient masters watched as energy moved through a space, and they oriented everything to the front door. And basically, you can see what's going on in about 5 minutes in any person's life based on where there's clutter or where energy is stuck or where things aren't flowing. So it's really about setting yourself up for success by partnering with your environment. You can literally program your environment for your success, because what's in here is out there, what's out there is in here. So either way, it will influence how your life is going. So, and the words Feng and Shui literally mean wind and water. They're the only two elements we can't live without. So if you think about your Feng Shui, it's really your external body. So you want to pay a lot of attention to what's going on. Where's the clutter? Does it feel balanced? Is it harmonious? Where do you feel supported? Where is it not working? Because that's the invitation for growth.
Lynn, does that see an energy body kind of around your own physical body, or how does that? How do you view that?
Yeah, I would say that your Feng Shui is a manifestation of your energy body. I also read auras, so there literally is an energy body around you that's an electromagnetic field that with someone who knows how to read that, you can learn a lot from that too. But Feng Shui is, a lot of people will look at Feng Shui, or traditional Feng Shui will look at it as physical environment only. For me, it's actually everything. It's the thoughts you think, the ideas that are coming out of your mind, it's the movies you watch, it's the people you hang out with, it's the food you eat, it's everything. So when you start looking at your Feng Shui and living from that place in a conscious way with deliberate intention for what it is that you want to create, that changes everything.
And so when these businessmen and entrepreneurs came to you and wanted to know the secret, what type of questions were they asking you?
People ask me all kinds of different things. They would say, what can I do to make things easier? How can I grow my business? I don't know what's wrong in my business. I tried this. I thought I would get that. It didn't happen. I feel stuck. My business isn't growing. I'm not having fun anymore. My business has a lot of potential and I'm not even reaching it. What else comes? It's just from all different angles. Everything from I must be off track with my purpose to my marketing doesn't speak to what I actually really do. So, and from there, it's like sometimes people say, I know what to do and I'm not doing it. And there's always a reason. There's always something. It's not like people purposely set out to not be successful. There's something in the way, that's all. So, but the danger with that is a lot of entrepreneurs will turn around and say, oh, well, it must be because I'm not enough, which couldn't be further from the truth. It's that there's something else that's in their way. And as a catalyst, I help people know and identify and understand and address whatever that is, which could be anything from a childhood belief that they didn't know was there, to ancestral coding, things that are in their energy field that they've inherited through their lineage, to a relationship that's sucking up too much energy, to a behavior that is repetitive, that doesn't serve them. So there's just all kinds of things that it can be. And
how do you pinpoint that, Lynn? How do you pinpoint that?
It depends on each person. So usually through co-creative dialogue, and honestly, I get information, and so I can look at someone's aura. I can see, it's almost like the wind. You can see where the wind was because the grass is flattened, but you don't see the wind. I can look at the tracks. I can look at their flattened grasses and figure out what's actually going on. So that's my goal, is to help figure out what's actually happening for them. So they are when they're aware enough to know that something's going on. That's the greatest place, because they're open. So a lot of times people will say, well, I don't know where the money's going to come from. I don't know where I'm going to do this. I don't know how to do this. When people say, I don't know, it's the best. That's the best place to be, because that's the jumping off place to new possibility. It's like when you already know something, you're not open to looking for new possibilities. You're limited by what you think you already know. So the best thing that you can do is actually be in the not knowing place, because that's where you can create from truly. That's where the place inspiration can enter. So that's one of my favorites. But yeah, it depends on each person and what their experience is and what the symptoms are, and where they want to go, what their goals are at this time, that kind of stuff. So I don't know if that's specific enough.
So that's a little bit like the eagle with the eaglet on the cliff. Like the eaglet's got nowhere to go except over the edge. Like when she casts him out of the nest. Yeah, well, and really, entrepreneurs, they do that all the time. They go forward. There is no back door. They got nowhere to go but forward, right? So, if you set yourself up with a back door, what are you doing? A lot of times people are thinking it's contingency planning, but really, they're just giving themselves an out. So, which is okay. But then, why are you giving yourself an out? Where do you not believe in yourself? What's going on? What does success really mean to you? What's the payoff in not being successful? Oh my gosh, we can, there's all kinds of things to explore with that. So what tools do you use to unleash their potential?
What tools? That's a good question, because there's so many different ways, and it's sort of like asking a batter to try to describe it, in slow-mo. What are you doing to connect with the ball? It's like, I do what I do. So let's see. I look for impressions. I listen to their language. I look for examples. I look for themes. I look for, I call them fractal distortions. So when I teach my clients, it's about fractal distortions. In that, a pattern, if someone says, oh, I don't have enough friends, then they say, I don't have enough fun, I need to laugh more, and then they say something like, it just seems like I never have enough money in my bank account, and oh, my car, I need to get gas, I'm always on empty. Now these are really obvious. These are all examples of the same thing, right? It's a fractal distortion. It's the same thing that's been, that's showing up in different places in their lives. So I look for what's happening with their distortions and how that's splintering off into different life areas.
What do you mean fractal distortion?
Well, it's where it's the pattern that's showing up is showing up in multiple areas in their life. So that's one way for me to actually kind of diagnose what's happening, is that they're revealing their pattern about their business in the way that they talk about their laundry. or in the way that they talk about shopping at the grocery store, or the way that they handle a voicemail. I listen for where that pattern is showing up, and it's best if I have a longer view perspective over time. I can do a lot in one session, but working with someone for 3 months or longer, amazing the kind of growth that can come forward. It's a lot easier for people to say, oh, let's look at my business over there, than to say, oh, you want to look at me? So I use business as like, yeah, let's both look at your business, but really that's my entree into what's happening for them. They're looking for freedom. There's something within them that's looking to express as greatness. So, let's do that. But that's too direct for most people. They're really, they're not really ready. So they want things to change. That's the interesting thing, is that they want things to be different, but they want things to change, but they don't want to feel unsafe or insecure or maybe even try something new. So it's a little balancing act, So you have to kind of, navigate all that to help them get the result that they want. So if they're really ready, they're going to grab that and go. And if they're not, that's okay. It won't be right timing, maybe. I had a lady that did a session with me over the phone, and it was literally just to share with her what I was seeing, what I was getting, kind of a reading sort of session. And when we hung up, I thought, well, I don't know how that went. I mean, there was a lot of information, but she said, oh, okay, thanks, that was it. I thought, well, now what? And a year later, I heard from her, and she said, I have to and even though I followed up, and I said, how are you? And she's like, oh, fine, there wasn't anything really there. So a year later, she calls me, and she said, I just have to tell you, after that, I didn't know what to make of it. I was overwhelmed. I didn't know what it meant. And she said, I just listened to it again yesterday, and she said, I was blown away from what you told me, everything that happened. You nailed it. She said, what did you, holy guacamole. That was her expression. So sometimes it doesn't make sense because I'm bringing it to someone before they're quite ready to know how to integrate it and put it together. And the advantage of me working with someone over time is that I can help them do that. But sometimes people just want to get the messages and go, and it's always perfect. The bigger picture always has it right.
So Lynn, how do you do it? Because you're obviously using intuition a lot, but you also talk about creating a means to have a highly organized approach to people's tasks in their business. So how do you combine the two?
Well, I'm a little bit different. I'm wired different. I have access to my left brain and my right brain, and I speak both languages. And so what happens when people are ready to take specific and focused action, let's just say in a business environment, they come to me, they want a business. What we'll do is we figure out what's the brand, then we look at what's the core that they're, what's their messaging, what do they really want to do, how do they want to reach people, what's their audience, their ideal client. Then we look at what's their process, what's their signature system, what's their signature offer. Then we look at how do you introduce that to people, what's the conversion strategy, how does the website get set up, how does the website represent you, and then a marketing plan. So there's actually specific gateways that we'll move in in working together. As we do that, it's going to reveal, oh, I can't say that. I can't call myself a blah blah blah. Well, I don't have a degree for that. So great, let's talk about that. Or they'll say, well, I don't really have a signature system. I just do what I do. And it's like, well, okay, so let's break that down. Or a website. I'll just get my neighbor kid to do that. Really? Let's talk about that. Now, there could be, that could happen, but, there has to be strategy behind it. And there has to be a way to lay it out to convert people. And then we have to talk about traffic and, all of those practical things. So, at my core, I'm actually very practical. I was raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We are practical. So, yeah, everything lays out. When people are done, they know exactly what they're going to do. So, because otherwise, what's the point?
So if I'm hearing you right, you're basically unblocking energy flow within a person's energy body so that what they manifest actually works for them.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. And I'm an energy reader. They may not understand the messages they're getting. They may not know, they don't know how to put it together or how to integrate it or what it really means. There's, we can choose to interpret how things are happening. So when things are not going well, it's like, I'm like, great, bring it, because that means it's clearing energy and it's the invitation for growth. That's like a neon sign that's saying, here, handle this and you're going to move. So, for me, I see the world in a very different way. And so I share that perspective.
Cool. You talk about projected expectations. What do you mean by that?
Oh, yeah. Well, there's all kinds of things that get in people's way. The distortions, expectations, assumptions, projections. Now, projection is something that you think that someone else is going to do or should do, or you're projecting who you think they are on them. When you're doing that, you're having a conversation with them, and you're actually, while they're still talking, you're thinking about what you want to tell them, so you're not even in the conversation. You're thinking ahead. You're not actually present. So anything that's taking you out of being completely who you are in an authentic and transparent way, congruent with what you want, that's what we got to get. And, everybody's got stuff. Everybody's got stuff. That's why we're here, is to work that stuff out. Working with someone who knows how to see it will accelerate your progress. You'll get bigger momentum, but you're still going to learn with or without. You're going to find your curriculum. You'll find your teachers as you go. Everyone can be your teacher when you're aware,
So how do you go about connecting somebody to their life's purpose?
Well, first, a lot of, we in the Western world are conditioned to use our mind first. And so it's a conversation about what is your purpose? What does that mean? So your purpose isn't something someone else gives you. It's not a job. It's the thing that's always been there. It's the thing that's really easy for you, that you kind of go, oh, yeah, everybody can do that. Well, that's so easy. What do you mean? So I had a woman who, for example, who came to me and she said, I've been in the film industry for years. I'm burned out. I don't want to do all this stuff. And I said, well, what do you like to do? And she said, she said, you're going to laugh. And I said, why? And she said, I like to organize. I said, organize what? Closets, gardens, papers, files, like anything. She just liked to organize. So she said, but that's not important enough. I should be like Mother Teresa or something. I should do something really meaningful. And I'm like, that's really meaningful for someone's world. If they're in chaos and confusion, they're not productive. They're not contributing. You're a godsend for them. So once she had permission to see that this natural ability was valuable and helpful, then she could actually use that and make a business from it. So then we structured from there. So it's really about when someone feels light, that's good, that's positive. If they feel heavy, so we pay attention to what's happening in the body, like your daughter, we pay attention. What are the signs? What are the signals? So if something feels good, let that pull you forward, because that's the thing that is your path for abundance. That's what you're here to do. Why make it hard? Why do the things that you don't want to do? Now, and in business, I'm not going to say that everything in business is what you want to do. I mean, but for the things that you can, you outsource. Hire somebody to handle the bookkeeping or whatever, the data entry. Hire people to do that stuff. You don't need to do that. You're an entrepreneur. You need to do what only you can do. So you need to leverage yourself. So hire other people who that's their purpose. Honor them by helping them be in their flow of their gift, and then you get to do more of what you do.
So, Lynn, walk us through challenges. When people come up against a block, how do you use that block as a stepping stone?
That's a good question. I would say I would look for the gift in it, whatever whatever it is, because everything, every shadow has light, and when there's light, dark can't exist. So everything has a gift in it, whatever the challenge. So if the challenge is, most people will say, well, I just want more clients. I just want to make more money. It's like, okay, that's a little general, and that's not really what's going on. So let's look at this. Well, I've had people say, well, I want to market more, but I shouldn't blow my own horn. I'm like, why? You're in business now. So, you know, and then we have to look at that. Well, my dad said, or, oh, no, you just don't do, that's not polite, you know. Sometimes people will say, I know I have a bigger purpose. I'm ready to step into it, but I'm tired. I'm going to go take a nap. And it's like, well, you know, what's going on with your energy? Like, you know, so whatever the challenge is, we have to see the gift in it, because in that case, that person actually was undiagnosed in an illness, and they needed to get their physical body together for the rigorous journey of being an entrepreneur, and then they could step forward. So, you know, there's always something. There's always an invitation behind every challenge. The challenge is just the symptom of what's going on a deeper level. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so you're saying there's a gift in every challenge?
Yep. In everything. It will just take you down a different path. It will show you a new perception of the world. You'll have a different awareness. You'll have a different relationship to what's happening. And it will cause you to meet new people and have different opportunities and experiences. Everything gives you something if you look for it. You might have to look a little harder with your metaphysical eyes, and you might need some help in seeing it. You know, and all the time people say, oh my God, you know, there's a gift in war, or there's a gift in, you know, disease or whatever. And well, yeah, you know, there's you want to look at what, and some people are actually committed to staying in a less than state. They're getting a reward. Well, if I'm in disability, then I don't have to be a failure. I don't even have to try because I'm disabled. What? You know, it just, but that's where they're at, and that's okay, you know. So chances are those people probably aren't going to find me. The people who work with me are really ready for bigger change in their lives, and they're ready to step into their true potential and activate what's happening as possibility. They want to bring it in as reality. Those are the people that usually are moved to connect with me. So.
Excellent. Lynn, you talk about a map showing people the way between A and B with the terrain and everything. All the information's on a map. So you create a business vision map. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, that was I had no idea that was as valuable as it was. That was one of my blind spots. I was like, oh yeah, I just do that. And one of my friends said, are you kidding? That's like the core of a business. What are you doing? So I thought, oh, okay, I'll pull that out. I was just kind of tossing it into a session. But really what happens is that when you know who you're working with, who's best served by what you do, the benefits of the work that you do, not just the features, the benefits. When you have your methodology mapped out to deliver predictable, replicable transformation for people, and you have a conversion strategy in place, you have the optimal mix of products and services at the right price points, you have an upsell, you have a big back end, now you have a map for what you start working on first and how your clients will progress through your work and how people can consume easily and get maximum value from the work that you do to support them in having the transformation that they want to receive. So it's really about strategy and pulling out what your gifts are and putting that into a framework for maximum success. You know, power cannot really be released until it's focused, right? So, and as an example for that, if you thought about having, you wanted to have a house built and you had an unlimited budget and you hired someone to go and said, make me the most amazing house ever, there's no budget, just do what you do. You'll never have a house because they will always keep going. There's always going to be something more amazing. But if you turn around and said, here's 6 months, $100,000, the plans, I want a house. It might take 8 months, it might be $150,000, but you'll have a house. So you have to really focus the power in order to propel success. So when you can put together, when your business has a business vision map, now you know where you're going. It's integrated, it's cohesive, and it gives you a way to chart your course. You can really, you're set up now to navigate what needs to come in sequential order. So you can see it all. And the way that I do it, I do it very quickly, and it's on one page so that you know where you're going. Very
Lynn,
helpful.
when a entrepreneur comes to you, do you have to have a basic understanding of what he's doing or she's doing themselves, or do these principles apply to everybody? So you just point them in the right direction?
I would say these principles apply to pretty much everybody, because it's really about the person and how they're showing up through their business. It's about really claiming their personal power through business. I believe that business is our highest calling made manifest through service. And so it is up to us to match what we're here to do, to really be in our power, to receive that, to allow that, to share that, you know. And so every single person, when they're ready to grow, these principles are going to apply to them. I tend to attract a lot of people who are thought leaders, change agents, people who work with healing modalities, people who are coaches, speakers, authors, people who have a proprietary something. They're not even sure what it is, but they have this idea or this calling. So I tend to attract people who don't actually have a tangible physical product. You know, I want to market this widget. Those really, you know, I can help them, but they're not really, you know, they're a fringe person for me. It's really a person who has a mission and a purpose and a calling. Those are the people that typically find what I do most helpful.
Excellent. Here's a quote from your website. Maybe we can kind of start finishing off on this. It says, "The universe conspires to bring your dreams, bring you your dreams, because you are correlating your reason for being and what you offer with who you really are at your essence."
Mm-hmm.
Is that one of the cause of your teaching?
Yeah, when you are who you are and you're congruent with that, you will manifest very quickly. And when you are intentional about what you want to create, and I believe that it really does come up from a place of service. You know, money is a byproduct. If you're on your path, money's going to show up. So just do what you do and trust that it's going to be there. And that being said, you want to apply a little strategy, you want to have a little marketing, you want to have a little focus, you want to have some framework, but really it's about just lining all that stuff up. Be congruent with who you are and do good stuff. There you go. Mm-hmm.
I like your balance, Lynn, because it seems to me that you actually understand the energy side of things, but yet you make it practical for people. So I can see why people will get a lot out of your coaching.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's always my honor. It's my sacred purpose to help people birth that into being. And to watch people on that journey is just remarkable. You know, people's lives change completely because they're in their own power. They're not giving their power away to other people or externally focused or looking for validation or replaying old patterns or allowing the past to make their decisions now or whatever. You know, it just, they're present and they're congruent and they're transparent and they're authentic and they're in passion. So it's amazing. It's beautiful.
So Lynn, I've really enjoyed having this conversation with you. Can you just tell us where people can contact you and a little bit about your website?
Sure. My website's pretty big. It has a lot of resources for entrepreneurs because I've been doing this for so long and I have all these amazing things that it does no good if it's just sitting in my head. So there's a lot of free resources and downloads and e-courses and whatever. But if you go to www.mycreativecatalyst.com, you will see what I'm up to. You'll find resources. There's all kinds of good stuff there. So that's probably the best way to reach me. I have several websites. I'm an entrepreneur, but my Feng Shui site is flowingfengshui.com if you want to look at that. But my business site is mycreativecatalyst.com.
Is there one final little piece of advice you'd want to leave the listeners before we go?
I would say follow your instincts. You know, your instincts are typically right on. If there's something that's niggling, that's a message. If there's something that feels really great, that's a message. So pay attention to that intuition, that small inner voice, that self-wisdom. Pay attention to that and use that as a GPS rather than letting your BS, your belief systems, not about your belief systems. It's about that inner knowingness. So I would say if you listen to that, it won't steer you wrong. It'll always take you the right direction.
Excellent. So thanks everybody for listening to this episode of the Be Empowered Show. I'm your host, Graham Hopkins. Before we go, can I ask you, the audience, to do me a special favour and go to iTunes and leave a review on iTunes. That will increase the ratings on iTunes and allow this message of empowerment to get out to more people. Those of you who would like to hear more about the concepts that Lynn and I have shared today, like feeling more connected, experiencing a peaceful heart, intuition, being in the flow, you can either go to Lynn's website, as she said, and download and look at her information on her website, or you can go to Amazon and download my book called The Manifesto of Your Inspirational Mind. And if you want a free ebook, you can go to www.beempoweredgroup.com and download the book called Know Your True Value and Worth. And I think, Lynn, you would agree that really all that we've spoken about today has to do with that one topic about knowing who you really are.
Absolutely.
So I'd like to thank everybody for being a part of this show, and both Lynn and I would like to wish you a future of peace, abundance, and feeling worthy. Thank you for your time. Remember, change your energy, change your life. Thank you.